We're recording? Yeah. Cool. Okay, I've not got a desk to put this on, so I'm going to hold it. DwarfLab, a company, an optics company in China, have sent me this to look at. It's an affordable smart telescope. And that's the thing that's got me interested in reviewing this, because smart telescopes up to now have been like £2,000 plus, and this is like £300-400 euros, available from like February, I believe, that they're on pre-order. So who are DwarfLab and what is a smart telescope? Before getting into telescopes, they were more involved with sort of miniaturization of smartphone cameras and lenses, doing things like microscopes. I think someone suggested that they look into telescopes because that would be cool. I think from what I can tell, they've got hooked on the idea because this is their second iteration. They've got a Dwarf I and this is the Dwarf II. And they've got a YouTube channel, and it's a crowd-funded thing where they've raised $2 million. So it's not a flash in the pan. They're very serious about getting this as good as they can and making it affordable for people to get interested in capturing what's out there in space. So what is a smart telescope? Traditionally, a telescope, you kind of just manually move it around the sky, point it at things. I don't know what I was doing with my hands there. And then, they became so you could have equatorial mounts that you polar align and put a motor drive on, and then you got the fancy tracking where you could track with the rotation of the Earth. And then go-to computerized telescopes came in. Some of the early ones were like the Meade ETXs, for example, LX200s. And they basically had a handset that you could, and motors, and on the telescope, and you could program it to find objects and track them for you. But before doing that, you had to go through an alignment procedure, like a 3-star alignment. Yeah, pros and cons to that. It could take you a few minutes to get underway with that. And so in recent years, there's been sort of advances in technology, and now we're on to something called smart telescopes. So a few years ago, things like the EV scope, and more recently, like Vionis Vespa's just come out. These are more expensive. They're around £2,000 plus, dollars, euros. And they're not really obtainable for a lot of people that just want to test the water with imaging what's out there in space. This, on the other hand, is £329, $400 the pre-order price, something like that, going up to around £400 for $60, similar in euros, I guess. So a fraction of the price. So if it works a fraction as well, then it may be worth it for a lot of people. So to tell you what a smart telescope does exactly is it takes setting up the go-to away. You can basically plate solve. It plate solves for you, which is where it takes pictures by itself of different patches of the sky. I think this does 3 different parts of the sky. It recognizes the pattern of stars, and then its clever brain inside there works out where it is for you. So instead of manually pointing a telescope to 3 bright stars and then pressing a button to say that is that star, this does all that for you. And apparently it autofocuses, and it's got a library, a database that they're improving all the time of objects. And you can just pick an object, it will go to it. It's got its own Wi-Fi, so you connect it to your phone or tablet, and you can basically do live stacking of images, fairly short exposures, 15, 20, 30 seconds. You can't do more because of the type of mount it's on, but then it stacks them together to make it as if it's a longer exposure. So it brings out the signal, reduces the noise, and then you've got that nice picture of the deep sky object on your phone to share with your friends, etc. Yeah, for full disclosure, DwarfLab said that they would let me keep this, I think they've said that to everyone that's reviewing this. And me being awkward, I said, I'll give it you back afterwards. So there's no kind of question about my authenticity of what I'm showing you guys here. And basically, I'm beta testing it and documenting me beta testing it. Beta, I don't know how to say that. So yeah, I'm going to stop waffling on now and open it up. So it looks when you first open it up. Bit of space around it with some padding. I'll turn this upside down, I think, to get it out. Here we go. So yeah, if you want to find out more, just visit DwarfLab.com, as it says on the box there. It's not a million miles away from kind of like what Apple stuff comes in. It's like quite fancy looking packaging. See further. That's got something in there. I'll have a look in a bit. Right. It's good from a transportation point of view that it comes in a case, like a soft padded case. I don't think they need this. They could, you know, it's only a small difference. The C's full of plastic, I know, but maybe we could sort of swap some of the plastic for something that's a bit more eco-friendly. I mean, I think one of the ideas is that you can take this to sort of like travelling with you or to dark skies, away from the light pollution, and set it up. I think for a lot of people, the main draw of it being small is it's just going to be less friction for just taking it out to your garden. If you've got a big, heavy telescope, it's going to be, you know, you're going to think, oh, I'm too tired. But if it's really easy to set up, you're more likely to go out and set it up. But I think the idea is that you can take this away with you and travel with it and things like that. So there's a zip on the inside. Oh, that's nice. It's all nicely done, isn't it? So is that product list and some instructions there. Something else in there. Obviously I'm going to open all these bits up and just getting them out to begin with. Come on. I have opposable thumbs for a reason. Ah! No, they've got like a micro SD, 64 gig micro SD card with it. It's nice that they include that actually. And here it is itself. God, it's light. But it feels solid. Light and solid. Let's have a look at it. I don't want to use my knife on it just in case I scratch it. Come on. I guess they put this on so that you know that it's brand new. All this plastic. I guess that's the reason. I don't know. I don't know if this is kind of like recyclable stuff. Sorry to bang on about that, but yeah, I guess we have got to make an effort with that kind of thing now, haven't we? Some might not agree. So when it arrives, it looks like the cameras are tucked out the way. So if I rotate this round, aha, there we go. Has it got a film on there? I don't know. I don't know if there's a film to peel off there or not. But basically we've got two cameras. There's telephoto there and a wide angle there. So the telephoto, I believe it's got a prism, because you'd think, how could you fit a telephoto in there? Look how wide it is. I think it's got a prism inside there initially that sends the light down that way along the axis of the Dwarf II, and then the lenses will be inside there somewhere, and then the wide angle lenses are kind of in front of it. I think they've got like a demonstration of this. I'll flash it up on the screen. So it's quite cleverly done, really, how they've kind of miniaturized it all down. But I think it's a 100mm telephoto lens, and I think it's 24 on the wide. But because of the small sensor, it's kind of the full frame equivalent. The telephoto is a full frame equivalent of 675mm. So actually a reasonable amount of reach. The product is kind of an out azimuth mounted thing, so it will rotate on this axis, and then this bit will go up and down for altitude. Oh, there is a thing to peel off there. That's satisfying. Bit of ASMR for you there. What else have we got on here? So there's a battery compartment at the back. That's a chunkster, that is, isn't it? Look at that. Big beast. Lithium ion, I believe. That's what batteries tend to be now. So it's got a nice little pull thing, so you can purchase and get it out. And looking at their site, these are about £48 to get an extra battery, I believe. If you want like a spare battery or replace the original battery. Yeah, that seems nice how that goes back on. It doesn't fall off. But yeah, it does kind of look quite aesthetically pleasing. I think that's the word. It's certainly not like any telescope I've witnessed before. It really does look like it should be on a stalk on a Mars rover, looking around and surveying rocks and things. Yeah, so it's really intriguing, really intriguing. So it looks like there's a power button there. I don't know. Oh, it's got some power. Look, it's all lit up green. That's cool. So, oh, it's gone red now. I don't know what any of this means at this stage. I need to, basically the next thing to do after I've looked at all the accessories here is to download the app on my phone, DwarfLab app, I think it's called. I'll check that. And then play around with it. But not only can it do astronomy, it's basically like a nature imaging solution in a way, because you can do tracking of like birds and wildlife with it. It will latch onto a subject and it will track it, and it will do panoramas. It will just move around taking photos and then stitch them together to form a panorama. I think it can track people doing sports as well. So not only is it kind of for electronic aided astronomy, basic astrophotography, it's also for daytime videography, photography as well of nature. So it's like a science nature tool that happens to look like a Mars rover instrument. It's cool. I don't think I'm insulting them by saying it looks like a NASA Mars rover instrument, JPL lab type thing. I think that's a compliment. But yeah, let's see what else we've got going on here. So what's in this little doodah? A strap. Cool. That goes on the baggie. The bag's really nice, actually. It's really padded. What on earth? Oh, it's a tripod. It's a mini tripod. This really is a small thing set up, isn't it? It's like a little Jovi tripod thing. What's that? Has it got? Ooh, yeah, looks like a 1/4" UNC. It's got like a little ball head on it. Got DwarfLab written on there. So it's a little ball head that locks in different positions. Let's see. Yeah, that locks firmly, and there'll be a little 1/4" on the bottom to go on there. So I'll screw that on now. I'm assuming this has got some kind of USB port on it as well, so you can connect it up to a computer to download like images to your computer as well as to your phone, or to do updates or something. It almost looks more like a NASA instrument now, doesn't it? Look, let's just lock that off in a more kind of, I don't know. Does it need some kind of spirit level bubble thing somewhere? I don't know. To get this, probably not. So you can plonk that on like a garden. Hold on, I've got to reframe the camera a little bit so you can see what's going on. There we go. There we have it on the tripod. It's like Christmas, this, isn't it? For me it is, anyway. What's in this one? Oh, yeah, wow, cool. Yeah. Yeah, I read about these. So that's a tiny scope mobile microscope that they've thrown in with it. That's really cool. Didn't actually expect that. And this looks like a filter holder. And I believe, oh, it's got like Ursa Major written on it, like engraved on it. So does that go? Oh yeah, it's got the telephoto that side, and so it tells you which way round it goes. I've heard this is oh, that clips in. Yeah, I've heard it's magnetic, clips in, and then these look like standard 1.25-inch astronomy filters. God, they put quite a lot in with it, don't they? If this actually works for just a few $100 I don't know what to say. I can't. It almost seems a bit too good to be true. ND 1 million. That's an ND 1 million. So that's solar, yeah? DwarfLab ND 1 million. To be honest, I think they should just have solar filter written on it, so people that aren't familiar, because this is aimed at people that don't necessarily know much about astronomy but want to get into it. I don't think they're going to know what that means. They might not know that's for solar, or, you know, because even I'm not 100% sure, but I'm just, do these screw on? Oops, sorry, DwarfLab. I broke it already. I'm going to blame that on the cold, because I'm filming from my garage and it's absolutely freezing. I can hardly feel my fingers. I can almost see my breath. There we go. So they screw on. So it's got like a really cool pair of... So our Mars rover here has got a nice pair of sunglasses to do some solar imaging. Now, that's so cool. Ah, hold on. ND... So has it got... It's got two. Hold on. This has got two ND 1 millions. Are they the same? So you put one on the. So you can put one on the. You can put one on the telephoto and then one on the wide angle. Yeah, they both say ND 1 million. So yeah, I think to have, if it is a solar filter, which I suspect it is, that kind of ND, then I think to have solar filter written on it, and I hope they've got some kind of like literature about safety to do with like imaging the sun, because I can't imagine, you know, you know, you've got to cover your back nowadays, haven't you? Even though this isn't a visual instrument, so you can't burn your eyeballs out looking for an eyepiece. I don't know if it'd be good if someone just put one filter on and the other optic is exposed to direct sunlight. I don't know. Maybe they know more. They'd know more about that than me, wouldn't they? Anyway, it seems to have a solar filter for white light solar for each of the lenses, and then they've got this nice purple looking one here that's kind of glowing purple. I don't know if you can see that. You can see it on that one, and then it's got like a green coating shiny surface the other side. So this one is UHC, which is ultra high contrast. So that's going to be good for like bringing out deep sky objects on your images and things. If you've got a bit of light pollution, that kind of thing, on sky glow going on. So you want that attached if you're doing some EAA imaging of deep sky objects, and you want these attached by the looks of it if you're doing solar imaging, white light solar, where you can see sunspots and granulation with white light solar. You can't see solar flares, but to be able to do any kind of solar with this is pretty darn cool. That's really good. So I'll pop those back in. I don't know, I've not looked into what else is available for this, but if they're a standard 1.25 inch, you can put any kind of standard astronomy filter on here you like, which is going to be, I'm going to have to get my thinking cap on now and think what to put on it, because that's pretty cool. What else we got? Is there anything? There's probably not anything else, because that's quite a lot, to be honest, for the money. So tiny scope, let's have a little look at that while we're at it. What's all this about then? Is that like literally a key ring thing? Did that say, this actually says cucumber ovary written on it. That's bonkers. Whoa. What's this one? Locust antennae. Oh, my kids are going to love this. Oh, they're going to love this. I think my kids are going to get really on board with this. I've got 3 kids. I've got twin girls at 8, and I've got an 11-year-old boy. Moderately interested in astronomy, but they might really like all this stuff. How does that work? How does that actually work, though? It's got instructions. What's all this business? Oh, that looks like a QR code that says video course on it. Bring that back there. Video course QR code. This, I don't know what these bits are. I'm going to have to look at the instructions for it. Hold on, what have we got here? What do you do with it? Oh, you attach it to your looks like you attach it to your smartphone. So this is kind of a little bit of their groundings as a company. It's a little lens that you put on your smartphone, and you can, it's probably got software or something, and you can use it as a microscope on your smartphone. That's a nice little extra that they've thrown in. It's got a case that's tiny with a strap on it. But this is the main drawer. Really cool. So the next step for me to do now is sort of download the app and have a look at that. Okay, fast forward a number of hours. I downloaded the app, but I couldn't get it to connect, and then I realised that the Dwarf II needed charging. So I've charged it with my phone cable. It doesn't come with any kind of cable for charging, but everyone's got USB-C cables now. And the port's just underneath there. And you can see it's got 4 green lights now, showing that it's fully charged. It wasn't really showing any lights before. I was pressing the button a quick press to put it on, and the green circle was coming on, and it was immediately going off. But now it stays on and shows the 4 green lights, which is good. It took about 2 hours to charge. And I was asked to download some firmware, which I attempted to do on my PC. I was given instructions to download some firmware updates onto the microSD card on my PC and then transfer it over. I found where you put the SD card in. It's just there, and it's got like a rubber cover. But the download of the firmware didn't go well. It said the file was corrupted. So I'm going to leave the firmware update for the actual device for now. But when I re-download the app, that will be up to date, because I'll be just downloading it now. So just bear in mind that when I do my initial test tonight, because it does look clear, bear in mind that it won't be with the latest firmware at this stage. So take it with a pinch of salt, I guess, with that in mind. So now I'll just show you how I downloaded the app, and then we can go outside and give it a go. Okay, so here's the procedure for downloading the app. So I will go to Play Store. At the moment it's got Android, but they're working on the iOS app, and I'll search for, it's already up there because I've already downloaded it previously, DwarfLab, install. And open. Just agree to everything so it can use everything it needs. So that's how the initial interface looks, and it's got a connect button. So looking at the quick start guide, just to make sure that that's going to work, you just go to your settings, make sure that both your Bluetooth and Wi-Fi are enabled. If I then hit connect and allow, and then search for that. Now it's looking for the Wi-Fi signal from the Dwarf II. and connect. There we go. Okay, so once you go into the app, this is what your interface looks like. I've had just a quick play with this beforehand, so I'm not fumbling about too much. So this green spot, if you press on that, you can move the camera about very quietly. You can see I'm actually on a telescope there. I'm so zoomed in that you can't actually tell what it is, but that's the tube of my Evo Star 120 refractor. And you can go and focus. It's got autofocus, but I'm so close that it's a bit too close to focus, but you can focus manually. Ooh, it's just a little bit too close in this room to be able to focus on it. On the right hand side, we've got all these menus. So Astro Dark tells you how to take dark frames. Dark frames are basically frames that you take as well as your light frames, your normal pictures, to subtract the noise in the image. I'm not sure if it mentions that you need to do that at the same temperature as your light frames, which you do, else they won't match. You need to have matching light frames with dark frames in terms of temperature. But that tells you how to do it. You basically point the lens down, put it in the bag, and then press the button. It takes 10 minutes. That's what that says. And then we've got Astro. Can't read that upside down. Panorama, video, photo, time-lapse, and burst. So tonight I'm going to do a test in Astro. You can see we've got calibration, and that'll be the plate solving, where it takes 3 pictures around the sky, looks at the star patterns and learns where things are in the sky by itself. And then you can go and do the go to and pick objects and go to any of these objects that are currently on the list. Or manual, you can put your own RA and declination in if you want to look for a specific object, if you know the RA and dec. And then you can stop go to there. It's got an option for more there. On more, it's got image processing of the curves. So I can do, on the white dot, I can do all RGB. And then I can just select one of the colours individually to stretch, either red, green or blue, and you can reset it there. You've got binning, stuff like that. Tells you what file format you're using. But that seems to be the button to take a picture. And there's a button for the album there, so you can look in your album once you've taken a picture. Left-hand side, we've got the X to get out the app. That one brings up a little screen for, looks like it's for fine focusing, maybe. And that one brings up information here. Let's get rid of all this other stuff. So you've got your telephoto lens, wide lens. On the telephoto, you've got a IR pass and IR cut filter built in, so you can hear that. It's really impressive, actually. You can hear it clicking in and out on the Dwarf II. So you can either image with your IR cut, if you want to get rid of those IR wavelengths, or have the IR pass on for IR imaging. And we've got white balance, gain, and exposure here. So I think there's nothing left for it but to get this outside and give it a test. Okay, what I'm going to do, I've got the Dwarf II with its included tripod on my dustbin. I don't know if that's sturdy enough, but we'll give it a go. Feels okay. It's really murky here. I'm in Bortle 6 skies with a rising moon and lots of obstructions. I'm going to try and do a focus on some stars and then plate solve. So if I go into the app, okay, so I've got the Dwarf II pointing at the sky. So let's try autofocus and see if it can focus on stars or not. Let's try manually focusing. I can't get off autofocus. Come on. Oh, there we go, it's done it now. It's gone off it. It's just a bit sticky. Come on. There we go. Now that I'm close, if I go to autofocus, does it do it? It did kind of. It went to a sharp focus and then it kind of went past it. And it's gone back now. So it's focusing, but I don't seem to be able to get off the autofocus, so it keeps looking for focus. Ah, we're off. Okay. So now I can manually focus and get that dialed in. Then we can do a plate solve. That looks pretty good. So if I go into features, top right, calibration, see what it does. Calibrating first calibration. So it's going to do 3 of these. If it's successful with 3, hopefully it will be calibrated. And it will know where it is in space and will know where objects are in space to go to them. On the second calibration now. So the scope's pointed at a different part of the sky. It's taken a picture. It's figuring out where it is. Third calibration. Go to calibration successful. It's going well. It's going well. Okay, so if I go to the auto go to, I've got a list of objects here. Andromeda seems like a wise decision because it's quite high up and it's bright. Let's go to that. Might take a moment to do its thing here. I'll just give it a chance. Yep. Oh, there we go. Can you see that? That blob in the middle is the core of the Andromeda galaxy, our neighbouring galaxy. So I need to take longer exposures of that now. So hit that on the left to bring up the gain, white balance and exposure, all that kind of stuff. Let's try 5 seconds. So yeah, I can see it's got brighter already. There we go. It's got an IR pass filter on. Let's try the IR cut. I think we can see a bit more with the IR pass actually, even though it's got the colour cast on there, a bit of a pink colour cast from the IR wavelengths. I think overall it looks a little bit better actually. So it's got a curve for stretching the image. Is that going to have an effect on it? Hopefully. Doesn't seem to be doing anything. So if I go, I'm on 2x2 binning. I think that's probably sensible because it's going to be more sensitive. So what's this then? I go to 30 maybe. No, let's just try 10 to begin with. So I'm taking a picture. At the top it says total 10, current 1, current 2. Oh, it's doing it. It is doing it. Current 3, current 4. Current 5. Oh, this is looking good. Okay, so it's done 10 exposures of 5 seconds. 50 seconds total. It does keep doing this with this purple bar. Do not know what's going on. Let's try going to the... Okay, so I've gone back on the Galaxy. If I go to more, let me try stacking 20. So I'm doing 20. Stretch it a bit. The curve. And display single stacked. Go. See what it does. What's it doing? Trying to save. Image saved. So if I go to the album, there. As you can see here, there was some TIFF images saved on the SD card of the Dwarf II, which I transferred over to my PC, and I've just done a little bit of processing here. So before I talk about the image, I want to sort of discuss some of the experiences of last night. Some things went really well actually, and considering the conditions, and other things didn't, which is kind of what you'd expect really. So the things that I thought went well were the plate solving and the focus, apart from the autofocus was a bit sticky. It wouldn't come off the autofocus easily. Once it achieved focus, it kind of kept on hunting and going back and forth. So it'd be good if once it had achieved focus, you could just hit the autofocus button again and it would come off that onto manual focus. But it did seem very sticky, which was a little bit frustrating. But once you're close to focus, it finds focus really well, which is quite remarkable really, considering how murky it was. And the manual focus worked really well as well. It seemed to sort of like lock in sharp focus quite easily. Now, other things that went well. I thought the plate solving was very good. You know, again, I was bought all 6 skies, but it was more like bought late because I had a lamp illuminating me so I could record what I was doing. There was a moon rising, and there was definitely a lot of stuff in the atmosphere, high cloud and stuff. Like I couldn't see stars particularly clearly with the naked eye, so it did remarkably well to plate solve, I thought. And the go-to seemed to work well for bright objects like Andromeda at least, and it centered it in the middle of the frame. So all that was very impressive. I think the thing to remember is that you need to point the lens quite high up if you're somewhere like I am in suburbia with loads of obstacles and quite a lot of sky glow low down. Point the lens quite high up before you begin the plate solve, so you're looking through less atmosphere, and it's not going to run into any obstructions, and it did a great job of that. Things that didn't go quite so well were some of the buttons just didn't respond, like the file format. I couldn't choose anything other than TIFF, and it wasn't clear whether the images were being saved. I couldn't see any thumbnails in the library, but there were some like blank files, which I think were the TIFF files that I did find the morning after when I looked at the micro SD card on my PC. But yeah, it was a little bit glitchy in places, but please bear in mind that they did really want me to upgrade the firmware, and I wasn't able to because of the file, for whatever reason, was corrupted. So I need to try this again with the firmware update for it to be really an accurate depiction of where we are with this now. When they sent it me, it was over a month ago from China. So they've been working on firmware updates since then, and it's not due for market until February this. So it's very much in beta testing. So for where we are now, considering I literally used no darks, I didn't use the UHC filter. I just wanted to test it in a really raw state, and the conditions were pretty terrible. The fact that I managed to get some kind of image out of it is pretty good, I think. It looks promising. A few things to iron out, but it does look promising. So here we have an image of Andromeda M31, and you can just also see the satellite galaxy M110. And you can see some spiral arms extending from the core of M31 Andromeda. So considering this is 20 times 10 seconds, so around just over 3 minutes total exposure integration time, just light frames, no darks. Yeah, pretty good really. Can't see any particular vignetting. The stars are reasonable considering it's like EAA type imaging and not like full on astrophotography. And there's a bit of walking noise, but as said, I took no bias frames or dark frames, or there's a dust bunny there as well. I didn't take any flat frames. So considering the raw state of the image without any darks, flats or bias or anything like that, I think it came out quite well, and the very limited exposure time. One thing I also noticed, talking of control sticking on the app, like the curves for adjusting the image didn't seem to work for me either. They didn't seem to have any effect on the image, but this was processed in GIMP, which is free software image manipulation program for just playing about with images. And after a few levels and curves, and I did a bit of red eye removal to get rid of the red walking noise, but there is some other walking noise on the image. It did clean it up quite well. So quite pleased really, considering. I mean, I'm not going to lie, I didn't record everything that went on last night. I was faffing about in the garden for quite a while, but we can't be having a video that lasts 3 hours, can we? So, but I think for a first outing on a beta tested new prototype telescope that's very affordable, that is having updates regularly, I think it seems to be on track from what I can tell. I'm happy that I've got some kind of image out of it, and certainly some aspects went really well. So yeah, yeah, I think on the whole, I think that's pretty good. I mean, we're not talking a £2,000 smart telescope here. So like if you bought, for example, if you bought a go-to telescope, the cheapest go-to telescope you could know, and bought a ZWO camera for it, it would cost more than this, and it would be bulkier, and the results would probably be similar. So yeah, you've got to definitely keep the price in mind. And I've got a picture of Andromeda from a very portable telescope that's very small and costs relatively nothing compared to the other smart telescopes out there. So yeah, I think, yeah, a few things trying out, but very good so far. I'm not going to lie, the app is a bit frustrating, but again, the price, wow. Cool. Okay, that's a good initial test. Next time I'll obviously try a bit harder with the image and take things like darks and use the UHC filter and things like that. And hopefully I can get some updates going to get the latest firmware. But for now, that's a promising start. Okay, you've made it this far. Thank you very much. Special thank you to my channel members, Dan the Man in the Four Grapples. Until next time, clear skies.